Radio.
This is CNA 938.
Understand Asia.
Now, Life and Style with Melanie Olivero.
Do you spend your waking hours fussing over your body shape, thinking you could be skinnier and more toned, and you just keeping yourself with these thoughts, letting them take over your everyday thoughts? Well, if you do sometimes do that or do it more often than you'd like to, well, you can hear from a body confidence advocate and author, Melissa Phan, soon. All that and more only on Made in SG, on Life and Style, on CNA 938. But first, gotta give you the news.
Now, Made in SG with Melanie Olivero.
Made in SG profiles someone who's all about keeping positive, that is, body positive, and nurturing a wellness mindset, especially when it comes to how we see ourselves. Welcome, I'm Melanie Olivero for CNA 938. This is Made in SG. When you look at yourself in the mirror, or just generally thinking about your body image, are you more or less satisfied with how you look, or are you always thinking of being slimmer, more toned, and perhaps you're envying others for their svelte bodies, and on top of that, these such thoughts dominating your everyday thinking? If you want to lessen such thoughts and you want to feel more confident about yourself, whether you could possibly do something about it, do something about your present predicament or not, maybe you could perhaps consider Melissa Phan. She may help. Her blog and website, The Wellness Insider, gives you access to curated expert opinions, articles and more, in the hope that you'll feel more positive about yourself and, as a plus, achieving your desired health goals. Melissa has also authored a book, Building Body Confidence, featuring interviews with prolific and famous people who all talk about struggling with body image issues, or they address how best to tackle such problems. So let's welcome to Made in SG, Melissa Phan. Melissa, welcome to CNA 938. We'll talk about the good work that you do, encouraging all of us to have more body confidence. But let's go back to your earlier days when you had to deal with your own body image problems. You said this, of course, on The Wellness Insider. What were they and how old were you?
Well, first of all, good afternoon, Melanie, and thank you for having me on this show. Back to your question, how old I was. I can't really put a number to it. I don't really remember how old I was. But I remember when I was younger, my mom did tell me, don't eat so much. If not, you'll go fat. But yet at the same time, being a typical Asian, she would also tell me to finish my food, right? So there's always this contradiction. You have to finish everything on your plate, but yet you're not supposed to eat too much. So I think I've grown up not really feeling very confident about myself to a certain extent, because when, in primary school, we always have those, like trim and fit club, and all of that. And, I was always at the borderline. People are telling me that, your BMI is a little bit high. And there was a period of time that I did have to go to school and, earlier than others just to run a bit more. And there was always this struggle that, yes, I need to keep my weight down so that I don't have to be embarrassed and say that, yes, I am in the trim and fit club, right?
Which means that you went to school by yourself earlier just to do those extra rounds, or you were advised by someone, your family members, maybe other classmates, to do that?
No, this is by school.
Okay, so the school asked you to come a bit earlier to run around.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because so everyone who is overweight had to go to school earlier just to run or do some exercises before school started. Okay. Yeah. So all of us had to, the only way to get out of that program is if your weight is deemed like below the overweight mark, right? If your BMI was a certain number. So that always like kind of, I feel that is the start of like a stigma of, you can't be fat. right?
Yeah.
And then I think I didn't really think too much about that. But when I grew older, and I think in my mid-30s, I was finally diagnosed with endometriosis.
Mm-hmm.
And during that whole period when I was trying to get the diagnosis, I put on a lot of weight despite exercising. So I used to go to the gym like 3 times a week. I would eat quite normally.
Mm-hmm.
I was tracking my food, counting calories and all of that, but I was putting on like 1 kilo a month, and I didn't understand why. And my hormones were also going a little bit crazy. So when I finally got the diagnosis, it was an aha moment and such a relief. But yet at the same time, like, the weight was at the back of my mind. Like, what then can I do to keep the weight down? Because I had seen 2 gynecologists, and the first one had, I would say, rather bad bedside manners.
Ooh.
She literally told me that your condition is such that you have to just work out 3 times harder than everyone to keep your weight down.
Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I wasn't satisfied with that answer. I think it was a little bit ridiculous. Like, I was already going to the gym 3 times a week, right? Working full time. Like, do you expect me to go every day? Right?
Yeah.
So then when I went to go to see my current gynae, and then that's when he said that weight is a bit of a symptom for all those who have any issues, gynecological issues, because of hormones. So one way to break the cycle and try to get back on track is actually to keep the weight down. So he did help me, and he did advise me to try and keep my weight down. But his concern was more like, as long as I keep my weight, suppress it, I don't increase it. He's fine with it.
So
right?
that was that the moment that you decided to turn things around with professional help? Mm-hmm. And during that time, was that when you set up your blog and website, Wellness Insider, or was it another time?
Well, I think it was the start of the idea of the Wellness Insider, although at that point in time, it was not called the Wellness Insider yet. Mm-hmm. I held some yoga events with a friend, and I thought that, hey, when I started to talk to all these wellness experts, and I also did a lot of my own research about my medical condition and what foods to eat and what kind of exercises and all of that. And then I realized that, hey, there are a lot of people similar to me, and they are jumping on various diet fads. And I myself had been through a lot of diet fads throughout my whole teenage years. And I realized that the reason why we're all doing this is because we all want to look a certain way. And why do we want to look a certain way? It's because we are so influenced by media, we're influenced by our peers, and all of us just want to look good, right? We all want the so-called bikini bod. We want to walk out there in our swimsuits and not feel embarrassed.
Yeah.
And the more research that I did, the more I realized that, hey, even your bikini models do have hang-ups about their cellulite, right?
Indeed.
And a lot of pictures that we see are already photoshopped. So why are we doing this to ourselves?
Yeah.
And also another thing that I realized throughout my journey was that I need to start being okay with myself first, and I need to take care of my health first before I even start doing all the exercises, because the mental part of it is actually important. If I keep on exercising and dieting for the sake of just being slim, I wasn't happy doing that. And what's the sake of doing that in the first place, right? So when I switch my mentality to be, I'm exercising and eating well to ensure that I'm healthy, then that's when I realized that there are a lot of other people who have the same mentality, gone through a similar journey, and we just wanted to spread the word.
So you were at a certain mental state of mind that you were happy with, and then you set up the Wellness Insider, your blog, and your website. So those were the main factors. You worked on yourself first. You felt happy enough with yourself, because we can't say we're 100% happy. Isn't that right, Melissa? You were happy enough with yourself. You reached a certain stage of contentment, and your next step was to set up the Wellness Insider. And then you also published a book, Building Body Confidence, in 2019. Which celebrity or public figure you interviewed gave the most honest and memorable answers? Because like you said, even bikini models, I'm pretty sure a lot of Sports Illustrated models out there not happy with their bodies. So tell us, you've spoken to such people. What have they said that really struck you?
I think the most memorable interview I had was with Luke and Emily. Both of them have done bodybuilding, sports modeling. They've gone for competition, and
there's a couple. They're married, aren't they, with a child?
Yes.
So beautiful they are. Two children, beautiful people, and look at the child also, so cute.
Yeah. So like you look at them, they look so good looking. They've got the muscles, they've got the tone, they are athletic and everything, and you know, in your mind, like, these people have no hang-ups about their bodies whatsoever, right? And this is where I was proved wrong. And I realized that there was so much stuff that bodybuilders go through in terms of how they are the ones who are really nitpicking about their bodies and the things that they put their bodies through. I never realized how they dehydrate themselves purposefully before competition just to get that definition. Then they even eat a lot of unhealthy stuff just to make their muscles swell just on competition day. And then there's the off day and the competition period, right? So you would think that these people look that muscular and beautiful every day, 365 days a year, right? Yeah. Then you realize that no, they have on days and off days, and they are just human like all of us. They just put in a lot of extra effort, and it doesn't come easily to them as well. So I felt like that was a revelation to me, that there are a lot of things, even within the bodybuilding industry, that, a lot of them, like on the inside story, that they are the ones who really, really have body confidence problems. And that is why they chose to do this sport, right? And again, there is a healthy method of doing it, and then there is the unhealthy method of doing it. And all of us have our hang-ups. So I thought that was really, really very memorable, because it just shows that even good-looking people have hang-ups, right? Yeah. And then, of course, another one was Eunice Olsen, gorgeous, Miss Universe Singapore, and she too also, because she's under the public eye, if she puts on a little bit of weight, people are like, oh, you're fat now, right? So, it just made me realize that all of us are on a similar journey, and all the more I wanted to compile all these interviews and put it into this book, because I felt that all of us can find a similarities with any of the interviewees, see ourselves in them, and realize that, hey, we are all having all these body confidence issues, and sometimes we need to just switch that mindset and be mentally happy, have that amount of self-love before we tackle real health issues or weight issues. And I also realized that we always talk a lot about fat people when it comes to body positivity, but there are people who are severely underweight.
Yes.
And they are struggling. They too want to put on weight so that they will not be made fun of as being bamboo sticks or other nicknames. And I thought that, it's not just a fat people issue, because whenever I talk about body positivity, a lot of people say that, oh, are you trying to promote overweight, unhealthy behaviors?
I saw that in your book. They were accusing you, or you have an agenda. I remember reading that.
Yeah. And that's when I was interviewing all these skinny people, right, or good-looking people, and the answer is no. Everybody is going through that struggle. Everybody is trying to reach a so-called perfect body, which is impossible, right? And it's a matter of like, how do you switch that mindset to realize that there is no such thing as a perfect body? Every body is different, and you and I, we have to work or eat differently. Our diets have to be different in order for us to reach a certain body type that we are happy with.
You know, Melissa, when you were talking to Eunice Olson, and I read that interview you did with her, because it was the first one, and she's a very gracious person. She told you that when they criticize her for not wearing enough makeup or not wearing the right clothes when she goes out, or even when they think she's gained a bit of weight, Eunice just told you that she says, thank you, and she moves on. She doesn't hit back. She just shrugs it off and she goes about her day. I think she doesn't allow herself to get upset, even though I'm pretty sure it has upset her before. But she has conditioned herself to just let it be, take a deep breath, say that this isn't her, and she says thank you. She's gracious enough to say thank you. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's where I've also learned a lot when people, or even, like, my mother still tells me I'm fat sometimes, right? And of course, I am trying my best to be gracious about it and say, okay, yes, I have. I will gladly admit that I've lost weight or gained weight, right? And to me, I just focus on how healthy am I feeling right now. And this weight thing is more obvious to me now after having given birth, right? And I think I'm a lot more, what's the word? Not gracious, but I'm a lot more gentle with myself in terms of my weight, because to me, and this is something that I've also said to some mothers, right? Like, when you look at the extra layer, your muffin top, and you look at your stretch marks, you tell yourself every time you look in the mirror that that body is a result of you having that healthy, loving baby, right? That healthy baby. So when you start to change your mindset, that's when you feel better about yourself, and then you can just shake things off, right? And I think a lot of people talk about self-love, and it may lean a little bit to narcissism, but self-love, I feel, is having the ability to say, yes, I'm a little bit tubby today. Yes, I'm not feeling the best today, but that's fine. It's okay. It is okay. That's right. And telling ourselves that every day definitely helps. Melissa, I must say, I've got to go to the news in a while, but I must say, when I first met you at a tasting at a launch, what struck me about you is that you were glowing, and I liked the aura about you, and I said, this looks like a very interesting person. I must approach her and ask her what she does. And in the end, you told me what you do. You were pregnant at the time, but the positivity you were giving out, and you didn't know it because I was watching you from afar, and I said, this woman has a story to tell, and There I was right. So I'm so happy to have approached you, and just to let you know, you were giving off positive vibes, which is what I think a lot of people saw as well. I'm in the company of Melissa Phan. She's a Made in SG body positivist and founder of The Wellness Insider, a body confidence online platform. She's also the author of the book, Building Body Confidence. Find her at thewellnessinsider.asia. This is Made in SG. I'm Melanie Olivero for CNA 938. We'll both get back to you with more after the news updates. Let's give you the news now.
This is now Made in SG with Melanie Olivero.
Hello, welcome back to Made in SG. I'm Melanie Olivero for CNA 938, and I'm back with Melissa Phan. She's a body positivist, blogger, and author of Building Body Confidence. And you can also check out her website, thewellnessinsider.asia. Melissa, you also did quite a lot of research for Building Body Confidence, your book. For example, you stated that 20 years ago, and since you published this in 2019, I would say more than 20 years ago, models weighed 8% less than the average woman, but today they weigh 23% less than the average woman. What other facts or findings did you unearth that you'd like to share with us?
Well, I think it's not just about the weight, it's also about the body shape. And so I think she was a social media influencer. She showed how the so-called ideal body shape in America has also changed throughout the years. So in the past, people liked the typical hourglass shape, and then it started to become a little bit more athletic in the 90s, right? And then now there is a bit of focus on, again, a bit of an hourglass shape, but more like the bigger butts as well as the bigger boobs, right? So I think it goes to show that we shouldn't really care too much about what is the so-called ideal body type, because it depends on which era you live in. It depends also on your body type. Another thing that we have to remember is that each of us are born with different body types, body shapes, right? And that, I think, was also very interesting because a lot of people forget about that. And they just look towards like, oh, I want to have that particular body shape. Or for example, like, oh, I want to look like Kim Kardashian, right? And they forget that they may not have that body type. Mm. And are you going to feel upset for the rest of your life that you can't look like Kim Kardashian?
Well, even Kim Kardashian's sister wanted to look like Kim Kardashian.
Exactly. Right? And we all have our role models or our ideal type. But we have to be realistic with ourselves as well. So that is something that I think was pretty interesting, and how when you have not accepted that, then that's where it can lead to a bit of depression or more body dysmorphia. And yeah, I think this is, if it gets so serious, then you may need to seek psychiatric help. Like, for example, even Luke, one of the bodybuilders, right? He said that he has body dysmorphia, and every time he looks in the mirror, he thinks that one side is less perfect compared to his other side of the body. And I looked at him and I'm like, what are you talking about? Right?
Such a handsome chap.
Yeah, and he's big, he's bulky, right?
Yeah, that's
I'm
right.
like, what are you talking about, right? So again, that really shows that throughout the years, people or society, we're just obsessed about certain body types, and those are trends, and trends will always change, but you are not a trend. Your body is not a trend, right? So why are we following trends when it comes to our bodies? It's not like fashion. If you want to follow fashion trends, that's fine, right? But your body is with you throughout your whole life. It's going to be very hard to change your body in that way. Yes, you can change it to a certain extent, but do you really want to, right? I'm sure all of us have watched a lot of those videos of how people have gone through a lot of plastic surgery to look the way that they want to look.
Yeah.
And you have to ask yourself, do you really want to go down that route? I'm not an advocate for plastic surgery per se, but I do understand the mentality of nipping and tucking a little bit here and there. But like something so extreme where you change the shape of your nose, your eyes, your lips and everything just to attain that so-called perfect figure or perfect look. Yeah, you have to question yourself, like, is it worth it? Or could you spend that money elsewhere to make yourself really happy in terms of an experience, right? So these are things that we have to question ourselves. And it's not easy. I like to tell people that body positivity doesn't mean that you're always positive 100% of the time. I feel bad about my body size sometimes.
We all do, right? Melissa, we all do. We all have these inner monologues. And also, speaking of that, some of your interviewees also mentioned how they were bullied in school. If not outright bullied, they were called names by classmates about their body size and shape. For parents listening in, what possible signs could they spot if their child is being bullied for the way they look, for the way they're shaped?
I think it's very difficult for parents unless they already have an open communication with their children. So of course, the very, very extreme signs would be sometimes self-harm, right? Some teenagers, they self-harm. And that is a very obvious sign to parents that, your child or your teenager is undergoing some mental issue or is depressed or is being bullied, and that's why they are self-harming, right? Or if your child suddenly says that they want to go on a diet, they want to lose a lot of weight, and then that's where you question, and you have to be gentle about your questioning, right? You cannot be in the interrogative style, like, why do you not want to eat? Why people call you fat? It sounds, you have to be very mindful that teenagers are also grappling with very new emotions, right? And you have to ask them gently, like, what's going on? Why is there a need? And then if they say, I just want to lose a bit of weight, then you can say that, losing weight is healthy, but is there a particular reason why you want to lose that weight? Some may want to do it for perfectly healthy reasons. Like, I have one friend who lost a lot of weight because she was into dancing, and she said that she had to lose the weight so that when her dance partner lifts her up, it's not so taxing on him, right? I thought that, that kind of makes sense, right? And she was very conscious that I'm just going to lose weight in a healthy manner. He just has to wait, right? I'm not able to lose like 10 kilos within a month, but at least I'm trying my best, right?
Your interviewees also gave some pretty good advice, Melissa. I'm so glad you included it in your book. One of them said, walk 1 kilometer today, 2 kilometers next week, and before you know it, you would have done 5 kilometers. It only takes 2 weeks to see your fitness levels increase. So they weren't talking about losing weight. They were talking about feeling better about yourself and exercising. So what other advice made an impression on you?
I think a lot of advice from them, if you boil it down, is really be kind to yourself and be kind to others, right? Take things one step at a time. Nobody's asking you to get there immediately. So you need to also be conscious about that. and take things slowly, right? Don't try and rush things. Don't be impatient with yourself or with others. And if you don't like to be bullied, you also shouldn't bully others. If you want to boil down into one word, is empathy, right? Have empathy for others and empathy for yourself. And that's how you can feel better about yourself. And I think that is where we talk about real self-love, right? Understand that all of us are going through the same journey. We are not happy with ourselves 100% of the time. We can't be positive about our bodies or ourselves 100% of the time. Is understanding like, okay, all of us have this issue. We're going through it right now. And yeah, we are here for each other. I think that's very important. Kindness, empathy.
You recently gave birth. You mentioned that just now. Congratulations, Melissa. For pregnant women, how do most of them worry about pregnancy-related weight gain? Because your book, you spoke to a pregnancy body image expert.
Yeah. So a lot of us are wondering like, oh my gosh, I'm putting on so much weight. And now we're more aware of diabetes, right? What's the exact term when you get pregnancy diabetes? And so a lot of us are worried about that. And some people are thinking like, when I get diabetes during pregnancy, is it because I'm overeating? Which is not the case. And it's quite miserable, I know, when you're pregnant and you are restricted from eating certain foods. Because for me, when I was pregnant, I had high blood pressure. So I had to cut out a lot of salt from my diet. And I had to therefore cook a lot more at home. I couldn't really eat out because of the salt. And it was just miserable because you feel like you're literally cutting out a whole food group out. And it's tough, right? And you want the best for your baby as well. So you want to be positive. And then at the same time, you're wondering, after I give birth, how am I going to get the weight off, right? So that's why I spoke to mothers. And one of them, she helps mothers get back in shape. And again, another thing when I was interviewing her, it comes down to, be patient with yourself. Don't expect yourself to be able to jump back on the fitness bandwagon immediately after you've given birth or immediately after you're back at work, right? Your body needs time to heal, and health is more important than trying to fit back into your genes, right? Your pre-maternal genes. So that's the mentality that I am taking as well. Like, I lost a lot of weight immediately after I gave birth and I was breastfeeding. I was really happy about that. But then after that, the weight started to pile back on, and I too got a little bit worried. And then I was talking to some other mothers, and one of them said, your hormones are still trying to get back to normal levels. Your body is still healing. So, don't think too much about that. Just continue doing what you're doing, right? And most important is that you're healthy and baby is healthy.
Yeah, that is the most important thing. And you also said that the reason why some of these stars can bounce back to their pre-pregnancy bodies is because you wrote they have dietitians to take care of them. They've got their own personal private chefs to take care of them, their own PTs, personal trainers. That's why they've got the money, and also they have their agents to take care of them. Thank you, Melissa, for being with me on CNA 938. I enjoyed our chat. You take care of yourself, yeah?
Thank you for having me, and everybody, please do take care of yourselves.
Completely agree. I look forward to meeting Melissa at a next media event. Melissa Phan is a positivist and founder of The Wellness Insider. It's a body confidence online platform curating articles and the like by various experts. Melissa is also the author of Building Body Confidence. You can visit her and check out her articles at thewellnessinsider.asia. This has been Made in SG. I'm Melanie Oliveira for CNA 938.